This week in game news, we learned that Rocket League will be getting a physical release, Zynga appointed Frank Gabot its CEO, Screensheet was released on the Xbox One and PS4, Uncharted 4 has been delayed to May 10th, 2016, Mass Effect Andromeda has been delayed to 2017, the 1.4 update hit Fallout Shelter, bringing a new element called Junk, weapons and armor crafting rooms, and new pets, Rock Band's coming to the PC, No Man's Sky is coming out June 21st, Finn has been playing the new Star Wars Battlefront and wants a story mode, Link has become part of Google Maps for a day, and Palmer Luckey says that the Oculus will support Macs if Apple ever makes a good computer. This is the Blackman and Robin Game News Update. First off, we have a bit of sad news for PSP users. The PlayStation Store in North America will be shut down for the PSP on March 31st, 2016. If you purchased games through it, you'll still be able to download them after that date, and you can also purchase content for your PSP from the PlayStation Store through store.playstation.com. It's been 10 years since the PlayStation Store opened. How much longer will it be available for the Vita, Sony's struggling handheld? There's no telling. The world of mobile gaming is a complex and messy one. It's a tangled knot of cloning, false advertising, and exploitative pay-to-win cash grabs. That's not to say that's all there is in mobile gaming, however. There are some honest developers out there working on good games. This week, we're reporting on a company that's seeking success by grinding up-and-coming developers into the dust. Say hello to Ravensburger Digital, responsible for publishing such games as Space Taxi, The Winter Dragon, and I Love Shoes. Ravensburger Games hasn't exactly lit the world on fire with their uninspired titles. Unfortunately, not content to stick to dirtying mobile markets with shovelware, they've taken to hurting independent developers with the power of the trademark. Keep in mind that Ravensburger doesn't just make video games. They've been a publisher of board and card games for a long time, and one of their flagships is the game Memory, a card game in which a bunch of cards are placed face down, and the goal is to remember where each card and its duplicate is. The game is known by other names such as Concentration. It's not a game that was invented by Ravensburger, however, they had successfully managed to market it. Ravensburger owns the Memory trademark, something that they've enforced with the Austrian Supreme Court case 4OB123/04H. Basically, a precedent was set when a website used the Memory name for their own card-matching games online. Memory being a generic name wasn't enough to tip the scales in their favor, at least that's as far as I could understand it, as my knowledge of the German language is quite rusty. But what this all culminates to is that this has given Ravensburger the ability to pull games from online markets with impunity, so long as those games employ the name Memory and have something to do with flipping over flashcards. Last week, I caught wind of what Ravensburger was doing on the Google Play Store from Origami Studio. Nearly 3 years ago, they published a game called Kana Memory on Google Play. It's a free matching game meant to help you learn to read Japanese. Last week, Origami Studio received an email informing them that their game had been pulled alongside several others for infringement of the trademark Memory. Unfortunately, I don't think that there's much that can be done for these developers other than changing the names of their games. The issue is that the Memory trademark is enforced in multiple countries in Europe, and to avoid trouble, Google Play has little choice but to go along with them or risk costly international legal battles. Google has shown time and again that it doesn't care about the little guy. As the ongoing Where's the Fair Use campaign has gone to show, Google's had easily abused systems for taking down competing content for a long time, systems that can have negative consequences for the innocent and no consequences for those hungry for power. The law is not on the side of the Kana Memory developers because of the legal precedent. Their game employs the word memory, which is trademarked specifically for the sort of game that Kana Memory is, a card-matching game. So what can these developers do? Well, the developers of Kana Memory are going to have to change the name of their game. Indeed, the developers of all these games that have been pulled from Google Play are likely in the process of changing the names of their games. Back in 2012, Ravensburger pulled the same thing on the iOS App Store, threatening developers there as well. Developers had to, you guessed it, change the names of their games in order to stay in business. What do you think? Is it wrong that Ravensburger can claim the word memory, something so generic, for game mechanics that they hadn't even invented but managed to trademark? Or is this a case of a system meant to protect creators, only hurting them? Hit us up on Twitter at Blackman and Robin and let us know. A Nintendo Direct was held this week and was significantly longer than the one held last week for Pokemon Sun and Moon. It was 45 minutes long, and frankly, this show doesn't run 45 minutes long, so we're just going to have to show you some of the very coolest stuff that happened. First, regarding the upcoming Star Fox Zero, this new game comes with Project Guard, which is a tower defense spin-off that was playable at E3 a few years back. Star Fox Project Guard will be bundled in with the physical edition of the game, but if you purchase the digital version of Star Fox Zero, you'll have to buy it separately. No price was announced for Project Guard, but it seems that it'll run you $10 if you buy it separately. On the subject of the main attraction, Star Fox Zero, it's an on-rail shooter in which you play as Fox McCloud. It's set to be released April 22nd, 2016. Splatoon, meanwhile, will be getting general updates for balanced weapons and gear on March 8th. Improvements to ranked battles and Splatfests are also inbound. Does this mean that we get to keep our shirts? That'd be nice, but they said nothing about that. Mario and Sonic at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games will be out on June 24th for the Wii U. It's a sports game starring Mario and Sonic, naturally, as they compete in Olympic events. This latest entry in the series introduces rugby sevens and rhythmic gymnastics clubs. No word on if you can protest the inhumane working conditions that the construction workers in Rio suffered through to build the stadium in-game, however. Super Mario Maker, like Splatoon, will be getting general updates with fresh content, including the ability to add the possibility of obligatory boss battles to your custom levels. That's not all the Mario news, however. Paper Mario Color Splash is a new Paper Mario game about, surprise, painting a world that needs it, set to be released for Wii U this year. There was a fair amount of news for the Nintendo 3DS. There's a new Kirby game set to be released on June 10th called Kirby Planet Robobot. In the game, Dreamland has been taken over by mechanical invaders, and it's up to Kirby to fight them. Prepare for Mecha Kirby. If you'd rather play old games, good news. The Virtual Console is bringing SNES games to the new Nintendo 3DS. These games are accompanied by a mode called Perfect Pixel, in which they're playable in their original resolution. Right now, Super Mario World, F-Zero, and Pilot Wings are available. Donkey Kong Country, Super Mario Kart, and Earthbound are set to be released March 24th. On April 14th, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, Super Metroid, and Donkey Kong Country 2 will be released. Sorry if you own an ordinary 3DS, as these titles are only compatible with the new 3DS. Monster Hunter Generations is coming to the 3DS this summer. In development by Capcom, the game will offer bonus content to those who've played Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. To encourage people to pick up that game, it went on sale in the 3DS eShop for $19.99. If you're in the market for a more old-fashioned JRPG, a demo for Bravely Second Endlayer is coming to the 3DS eShop on March 10th. If you play the demo of that game, data from it transfers over into the main game. Worth noting is that the demo is a unique experience in itself. What you experience in the demo won't be in the rest of the game, so even if you're going to buy that game, be sure to try the demo. Bravely Second is set to be released in North America on April 15th, and it's the sequel to the critically acclaimed Bravely Default Flying Fairy. It's a series that harkens back to the older days of Final Fantasy, before it went all cyberpunky fantasy odd thing that it is now. Sorry, Lightning. Many Metroid fans were disappointed when they heard about Metroid Prime Federation Force, which is a co-op Metroid spin-off without Samus that more closely resembles Destiny than Metroid. It'll be available to play at WonderCon this year, as well as at other conventions, and is on track to be released late this spring. Lastly, Hyrule Warriors Legends is coming out on March 25th for the 3DS. The handheld version of the game Hyrule Warriors, it plays like a Dynasty Warriors game, but instead of Chinese generals, you get to play as characters from the Legend of Zelda series. It includes a brand new character Linkle, who's Link, but female, hence Linkle, as well as a great many other characters. There was a lot more that happened during this week's Nintendo Direct. We'll have a link to watch the full thing at blackmanandrobin.com. While we're talking Nintendo, in-game releases this week, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD was released on the Wii U. Twilight Princess is a darker, more serious Legend of Zelda game, and it's gotten great critical praise. It also has a pretty dedicated fanbase. On the whole, the tone is a big shift from the previous game, Wind Waker. It's less goofy than the more Burton-esque Majora's Mask, and it's previously been released on the GameCube as well as the original Wii. If you have a Wii U and this sounds like your sort of game, you'll want to check it out. The Count Lucanor was released on Steam this week, and it's a rather unusual title. It draws inspiration from Yume Nikki, Silent Hill, and the Legend of Zelda series to create a creepy pixel art game about a poor boy who runs away from home and discovers a castle full of monsters, puzzles, and treasure. Thus far, I've heard good things about it from the fans. It's out now for Mac, Windows, and Linux. Maybe you're a cowboy at heart. Perhaps you've grown sick waiting for the PC port of Red Dead Redemption. Well, there's a new game out on Steam, and it looks kinda rough visually, but I like the concept. It's called Frontier, and it's set in the Wild West. You're free to run around doing whatever you want. Participate in the gold rush, take up tobacco farming, become the mayor of your own town. It's up to you. According to the game's Steam page, Frontier is in its infancy. The developers are planning on adding NPCs, period-correct weaponry, drinking contests, etc. Now, at the time of production, there are no reviews up on Steam of this game, so I can't really tell you what the players are thinking. From the look of things, however, it seems that the game isn't yet feature-complete, so why the game doesn't have the early access banner slapped across it is beyond me. Frontier is now available for Windows, Mac, and Linux. Maybe you are more of a strategy card game person. Don't worry, we have you covered this week. Faeria has been released on Steam Early Access, and it's already got quite a fanbase. It combines trading cards with a board game, and as a huge fan of Mojang's Scrolls, a somewhat similar game, I'm planning on trying Faeria out, since Scrolls is dying slowly. While Scrolls has some issues with balance, snowballing, and unusually long matches, I still haven't found anything quite like it. Will Faeria be that game? Find out next time. Or sometime soon. It could be a little while before I get to play it. If you're into point-and-click adventures with a sense of humor, you might have heard of the Deponia series. Published by Daedalic Entertainment, the game's initial trilogy was quite successful and well-received by both critics and players. Well, good news. The series is being continued in a strange sort of way, with Deponia Doomsday. Not to spoil the previous games, but the new game involves traveling through time in a hilarious story that draws inspiration from Neil Blomkamp's Elysium and Nolan's Interstellar. Just like the previous games in the series, this one has been well received by press and players and is available now for Mac, Windows, and Linux. The PlayStation 4 and Xbox One versions are in development.
The preparations took decades. What was meant to be an ark became a home. My home. Elysium. None of us ever thought there were thousands of clueless survivors down in that trash. Our bastion of hope became a herald of doom for Deponia. Fortunately, the tables turned. One of those clueless people foiled the plan. He saved Deponia and all who were left behind. And he saved me by falling for me. Literally. The end. Oh! Oh, you don't like this ending? Still hoping for something more upbeat? Well, it's like I said. Endings and sharks. Don't tempt them. Though, I gotta admit, even after all this time, I keep asking myself, if I was able to turn back time, what would I change? What would be the better ending? Or do I just want it to never end?
We got some interesting news from Microsoft this week. It's not so much news as it is a confirmation, really, that we could be in for a paradigm shift in the console market. As you may have heard, the Xbox One runs what Microsoft calls the Universal Windows Platform. That is, a framework for creating applications that run across all sorts of devices. There's a great article over at The Guardian about how Microsoft is planning on creating a unified platform between PCs running Windows 10 with the Xbox One. Indeed, the current generation of games has seen a lot of titles running between platforms. Xbox One, PS4, and PC, thanks to the new consoles having x86 processors, the same sort that you see in PCs. This makes it much easier for developers to develop titles for each system. What makes the situation with the Xbox One so unique is that with the Universal Windows Platform, it's even easier for developers to bring their games to both Windows and the Xbox One, assuming, of course, that they don't mind Windows 10. We're already seeing games benefiting from this. Besides Quantum Break, which recently had its PC port announced, the upcoming Forza 6, Apex, was announced this week for Windows 10. It'll be available for free on the Windows Store and is meant to be a sort of playable tech demo to introduce PC players to Forza. The game boasts a 12-event career mode and looks gorgeous. I'm not really into realistic racing games. I'm more of a Rocket League kind of guy. But I have to say that this looks really great. Now the question, are you willing to use Windows 10 to play it? Keep in mind, Windows 10 has run into some compatibility issues with quite a few games, so the upgrade could mean cutting yourself off from a bit of your backlog. In virtual reality news, this week pre-orders opened up for the HTC Vive, Valve's VR headset. Less than 10 minutes after pre-orders opened up, over 15,000 units were sold. In addition to coming with 2 games, Job Simulator and Fantastic Contraption, Vive pre-orders also come with Google Tilt Brush, an application for making art in 3D. If you pre-order an HTC Vive right now, it'll ship sometime around May of 2016. The HTC Vive isn't the only headset that became available to pre-order this week. You can now order Microsoft's Hololens, an augmented reality headset that projects things over your view of the real world. The Hololens is a bit of a computer in itself, containing its own onboard Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, USB ports, 64 GB of storage, and 2 GB of RAM. Additionally, the system has a camera and a whole bunch of sensors for seeing the world around you. A HoloLens will set you back a lot of money, however. It's $3,000 to purchase the development edition of the HoloLens. That's nothing for a small developer to sneeze at. Also, virtual reality is just starting to take off, whereas something like HoloLens seems like it'll be a whole lot more niche. So while there are plenty of cool possibilities for augmented reality, it might be a little while before they become reality. In crowdfunding news this week, Harmonix launched a FIG campaign for Rock Band 4. The game did pretty well when it came to the Xbox One and PS4 last year, and now the developers need money to make a PC version of the game. They're planning to bring user-generated content to the PC version through Steam Workshop. You'll be able to upload your own songs and, it seems, sell them, which is pretty neat. The campaign is live on fig.co. Backing at the $49 level will get you the game, which is set to be released sometime during the 4th quarter of this year. The upcoming Consortium The Tower was a game that we reported on a while back. It's a first-person action-adventure game in the Consortium universe that draws on Deus Ex quite a bit. You have the freedom to run into, a hostage situation guns blazing, or you could do it stealthily, or, if you prefer, you can employ diplomacy. It looks exciting, but its Kickstarter didn't quite work out. Because of this, the developers are taking it to FIG. In case you're unfamiliar with FIG, you should know that it's a crowdfunding platform specifically for video games. Hopefully Consortium The Tower does better there when its campaign launches March 22nd. This week, we got a first look at Audio Shield, a virtual reality music game that seems to draw on res. The music is coming for you, and you have to hit the incoming beats, which are orbs of light, using the HTC Vive's motion controllers. It's a room-scale VR game, meaning that you'll need a fair amount of space to play in. Audio Shield is set to be released this April. A new trailer has been released for the upcoming Time Machine VR. Being released April 2016 for the Oculus Rift and HTC Vive, it's a game in which you travel through time to unlock secrets from the past in order to help the present. I love the concept and would definitely like to try the game out. It's in development by Minority Media, the folks behind Popo and Yo, and it's coming to the PlayStation VR, though we have no idea of quite when. The setting? An abandoned research station in Antarctica. The scenario? Plane crash. Bitter cold. No way out. The prognosis? Near death. Seriously though, there's a game coming out called Near Death, and we got a brand new trailer for it this week. Currently in development by Orthogonal Games, the studio behind The Novelist, in Near Death, you've survived a plane crash in Antarctica. With no way to contact the outside world, you need to keep yourself alive at the empty research station for as long as you can. Near Death is coming to Mac, Windows, and Linux sometime this year. If you've ever wondered what gunfights would be like in a dungeon, wonder no more. Enter the Gungeon is coming out on April 5th, 2016. We got a shiny new trailer for it this week. The game is exactly what it says on the box, a dungeon crawler with plenty of guns. It seems to be in the same vein as Nuclear Throne, and it'll be coming out to the PlayStation 4, as well as Windows, Mac, and Linux. A couple of gameplay videos were released this week for the upcoming Mirror's Edge Catalyst. The first focusing on movement, the second on combat within the year's most hotly anticipated dystopian parkour game. Mirror's Edge Catalyst isn't a sequel to the original game, rather it's more of a prequel that'll also serve as a sort of reboot. It's coming to the Xbox One, PS4, and PC on May 24th, 2016. Finally, we leave you with the latest trailer for the upcoming Abduction. In development by Cyan, it's the studio's spiritual successor to the critically acclaimed Myst series of adventure games, and it is beautiful. Well, that's it for this week's game news. For all the latest game news, reviews, previews, and interviews, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Blackman and Robin. For my own views, follow me at Jordan_Cameron. You can also let us know on Twitter what you thought about this week's game news. We'd be happy to share your tweets on next week's episode. Don't forget to visit our site, blackmanandrobin.com, for convenient links to all the cool stuff from today's episode.